Hi everyone, in this video you're going to learn how to solve expressions with negative powers, and we're going to use this definition right here. This is the definition of negative powers or negative exponent. So any expression with base a raised to the negative n is always equal to 1 over a to the power of n. So we're going to go ahead and put this into practice so you'll understand how to use the definition of a negative power. All right, so we have 5 raised to the negative second power. According to this definition, the answer is going to be 1 over the base 5, but this time the power is going to go from negative to positive. Okay, we can simplify that a little bit further. That'll give us 1 over 25. Okay, let's look at the next one. So this is going to be 1 over 8 raised to the second power. So this goes from being negative to positive when we convert it to this form. We can simplify that. So that's 1 over 64. Okay? You try the next one. I'll pause for a minute and let you try it. All right, so if you got 1 over 2 to the third power, that is correct. And we can simplify that to 1 over 8. Okay, let's go to the next one and try that one too. So hopefully you got 1 over 3 to the third. Okay, so it goes from being negative to positive when you convert this negative power to this form. And this reduces to 1 over 27. Okay, now we can go in the reverse. Look, this is our answer for this problem right here. So we can go in the reverse. We go from here to here. So this will be 5 to the negative second power. We're going in the reverse. This is what we had first. And we convert it to this form. So now let's go from this form to this form. So that would be 8 to the negative second power. And this would be what? 2 to the negative third power. And this one? You said 3 to the negative third power. That is correct. So you should be able to go in both directions. All right, see, all these powers here have negative powers. So let's simplify them. So this will be 1 over x to the 5th. This will be 1 over m to the 8th power. Now this one here is a little bit work. 5 is going nowhere. Okay, we're not changing 5 at all. This is the one that has a negative power. So that's going to be 1 over x cubed. And then we can simplify that a little bit further, turn this into a fraction. 5 times 1 is 5, and 1 times x cubed. I'm sorry, that I meant 5 here. X cubed. So it's 5 over x cubed. So 12 is similar to 11. 9 will just be 9. We can write that as a fraction if you want. Times, okay, this is going to be 1 over y cubed. So now 9 times 1 is 9, and 1 times y cubed is y cubed. Okay, so in the next set of problems, we are going to use this rule right here to simplify these questions. Okay, so anything a divided by b, anything in this form, a over b raised to the negative power becomes b over a raised to the first power. So to go from this version to this version, and these two are equivalent, but to go from this version to this version, you invert a over b, so you end up with b over a, and because you flip-flop these, then this goes from negative to positive, okay? So flip-flop what's inside, and then change the power from negative to positive. Basically is how you're going to simplify these next few problems. All right, so 2/3 to the negative power is equivalent to 3/2 to the first power. And we can leave out 1. We can just give our answer this way because it means the same thing. So this will give us 5/2 to the first power, which is just 5/2. Okay? For this one, we're going to get 2/3, flip-flop what's inside, and then change the power to a positive. And these two expressions are equivalent in different forms, that's all. So now we can simplify that some more. Isn't that 2/3 times 2/3, which is 4/9. Okay? All right, let's do this one here. Flip-flop what's inside. So it's going to be 3/1. And this will be 3 instead of -3. So I hope you recognize that's 3 to the third power, which is 27. In this problem here, we have the same base 2/5, 2/5. So we're going to keep 2/5, and we're going to add our exponents. Okay, because these are products with the same base. All right, now we just add them. -4 plus -4 is -8. So that's our first step. Now we can use this rule right here for the next step. So flip-flop the numerator and the denominator. And then the -8 becomes 8. And we can stop right here because it's going to give us a large number. So we can leave it in this form. Okay, number 18 is just like number 17. The bases are the same. So these are powers with the same base. We keep the same base. And we just add the exponent. -2 plus -2 is -4. That's our first step. Now we have to simplify that. To simplify that, we invert or flip-flop the denominator and the numerator. And then the -4 becomes 4. And now this is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 because it's 2 to the 4th, which is 16. Okay, that's a 2. All right, let's look at the next one. So we have, let's write that as a fraction. The first number. So we wrote that as a fraction. And now we have 1/4 raised to the -3rd power. All right, remember there is a rule. When the powers are the same, we can take the product of the base. So that means we can take 3/1 times 1/4. We can multiply all those and raise them to the same power, which will give us 3/4 to the -3rd power. Last step, because we don't want a negative power, we flip-flop. So it's going to be 4/3 raised to the 3rd power. Okay? And then we can multiply 4 to the 3rd power is 64, and 3 to the 3rd power is 27. And that would be our final answer. All right, 20 is like 19. So let's convert that so it's a fraction. And then we have 1/2 raised to the -3rd power. Do you recognize they have the same power? So then you can multiply the bases. You'll have 4/1 times 1/2. Okay, all that will be multiplied and raised to the -3rd power. So that'll give us 4 times 1 is 4, and 1 times 2 is 2. So we're going to end up with 4/2 to the -3rd power, which is 2 to the -3rd power, which is definition of a negative number is going to give us 1/2 to the 3rd power, which is 1/8. Okay, lots of steps. All right, so because they have the same power, we can take the product of 0.2 times 0.2, all that in parentheses, and raised to the negative second power. We can simplify that. So this is going to be 0.04 to the negative second power. And then that's the same thing as 1 over 0.04 squared. And then we can simplify that to give us 1 over 0.0016. Again, lots of steps. So we took the products, because it's the same, we multiplied them and raised them to the same negative power. Here we multiplied them. And then we use the definition of a negative number, which will give us 1 over that number, okay, in this case squared. And then our final answer is this when we simplify. Okay, so here we have bases that are the same, powers with the same base. So we're going to keep the same base and just add the exponent. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. All right, we don't want a negative power, so we'll flip-flop these, and then negative 5 goes to 5. And so our final answer will be 3 to the 5th power. We have powers with the same base, 5/3, so we're going to keep 5/3. And we need to just add negative 8 plus 5, that'll give us negative 3. Because we don't want negative powers, we'll flip-flop that. And this will be our final answer. 3 to the 3rd power is 27, and 5 to the 3rd power is 125. And this concludes this lesson on negative powers.